Hey guys, welcome back to another Minecraft Bedrock command block tutorial. Today, as you can tell by my avatar, I will be doing Jogo's abilities from the anime Jujutsu Kaisen. Specifically, I'm going to be showing you how to make his disaster flames, which is where when he comes into contact with something, he can set it on fire. But yeah, thanks to this guy for the suggestion, and if you guys enjoy the video and the commands, remember to please like, comment some more suggestions, and subscribe if you enjoy the video. But yeah, let's get straight into the showcase. Alright, let's start off with the effects. So if I hold it in my hand, you can see that it puts like flames in my hands. It also gives me extra speed, strength, jump boost, resistance, and fire resistance because I have fire related abilities. So if I go ahead and summon a husk, I can show you guys really quickly what the ability does. So first, you have to have something that you're using it on, because if you don't, then nothing will happen. If I go up to this husk, hold on, it catches him on fire. And then, yeah, just burns for a couple of seconds. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of cool particles that come off of it. And then you can just, after the cooldown, use it again. And then your enemy will be dead. So like idle transfiguration, this works on multiple husks or multiple entities. So if I have them all close to me and I do this, as you can see, I got both of those. You can also see that when I actually go to use the fire on them, or I actually go to like use my ability on them, it makes it so that it looks like I like go to reach out and touch the husk. So if I do that, you can see my play animation that I did, and so yeah, that's pretty cool. Alright, now let's head to the arena, and I'm going to be using both Idle Transfiguration from my last video and Disaster Flames. Alright, now let's get straight into the tutorial. So first, you're going to want to make the scoreboard objective by typing /scoreboard objectives add, and then DF for disaster flames, and dummy. It'll say that an objective already exists for me, but for you it should add that objective. Next, if you haven't already, I need you to give yourself a command block. You're also going to need a structure block. Then you're going to want to give yourself the item you want to use for this ability. For me, I used blaze powder, but if you want to use something else, you can. Then you're going to put the amount as 1 because you only want one of them, and then put the data as 10. Next, put down an anvil. Go into the anvil and name your item Disaster Flames. Once you've done that, put down a structure block. Set the size to 111, the offset to 010, so it's just one block and a box above the structure block. You're going to want to put for the name Disaster Flames, and make sure that include entities and remove blocks is on. So after you do that, you want to throw this in there, make sure it's inside of the bounding box, and then save that. Then you can go ahead and pick it up again. After that, you can just remove the item from your inventory for now. Next, we're going to start off with the giver command, which is going to be just 3 command blocks going down. The first one is going to be impulse, unconditional, and needs redstone. By the way, guys, make sure to check the block type condition and redstone for all of these command blocks to make sure that all of it is the same as what I have on here. And then it's going to tag the nearest player who doesn't already have the Disaster Flame tag with the Disaster Flames tag. After that, this is going to be chain conditional noise active, and then it's going to say that same player equipped Disaster Flames. So this is just going to be the confirmation message you get. And then after that, going to be the same block type and stuff, and then it's going to run an execute command at that same player, and then it's going to run a structure load command, and it's going to load that Disaster Flames structure that we just saved, which was the item, into that player's inventory with these coordinates. Moving on to the remover commands. Again, it's just going to be 3 blocks going down. Starting again with an impulse, it's going to be tag at P, remove disaster flames. After that, it's going to clear the player of the item you chose. So if you did something that isn't blaze powder, you're going to have to put the name of your item here. And then the data is going to be 10, so it only clears that specific item from the player's inventory. Then finally, for the setup, this is just going to run a scoreboard command for players, and then it's going to reset that same player the disaster flames scoreboard. After that, what should happen is you click this giver button, you get this in your hand. You shouldn't have all the particles and stuff that I have, but you should have the item in your inventory. And it should also say your name equipped to disaster flames in the chat. Then once you remove it, all of that stuff should go away. Alright, now moving on to the actual commands. The first command tower is going to start with a repeating and always active command block. And then what this is going to do is it's going to execute for any player who has the disaster flames tag and is also holding the specific item, so that's going to be in the player's main hand. The item is going to be equaled blaze powder for me, but if you use something else, you're going to have to change that from blaze powder to whatever you used, and then data is going to be 10. At that player position, and then this is going to check for the position of the player's hitbox, so it does not run the command unless that entity is crouching. And then another unless the entity, and it's going to check if that player already has the disaster's flame score, which means it would be anywhere above 1. Next, all of the next ones are going to be chain conditional and always active. And then this is going to start about the same as the other command, so you can copy and paste that if you want. By the way, guys, all of these commands are going to be in the description below, so all you have to do is go to that link and then you can copy and paste most of these while you're watching the video. Then it's going to position the location of the command in front of where the player is looking. And it's going to detect for any entities who aren't using the disaster flames in a radius of 2. You can change this to be a larger radius if you want even more entities to be infected by the flames, but I recommend keeping it small because it's supposed to be like it only happens if you touch the entity. And then it's going to exclude armor stands and XP orbs and items. After that, it's going to run a scoreboard command which sets that player's DF score to 10. After that, it's going to execute at that same player whose scores equals disaster flames 10, and then it's going to run a play animation command, which is going to be animation.armor_stand brandish_pose, and then F, and it's going to last for 0.5 seconds. You can make the animation time longer, but I recommend just using this. After that, again, it's going to execute at that same player whose DF score equals 10, and then it's going to run a play sound effect, which is going to be mob.blaze.shoot, and it's going to be heard for everyone in a radius of 5. I also made it so that the volume is 1 and the pitch is 2. You can change the volume and the pitch if you want to, but I recommend just keeping it how it is. After that, again, it's going to execute at that same player, but it's going to be positioned in front of the player again. And then it's going to run a camera shake effect to add to everyone who is either hit by the flames or the player who uses the ability. And then it's going to be for an intensity of 0.5 and lasts for 0.25 seconds, and keep it as positional. Next, again, the command is going to start the same, and it's going to be positioned in front of the player. Then it's going to run a tag command, and it's going to tag anything in front of the player with disaster flames target. After that, it's going to execute at any entity with that tag, and it's going to run set block at that person's location, and then lava. This is for the lava particle you see when you first use the ability. Then after that, it's going to be the same exact command, except this ending part is going to be air destroy. After that, again, it's going to be the same command with the lava, except it's going to be 1 block up. And after that, it's going to be, again, the same command, except it's going to be 1 block up, but it's going to be for air. After that, moving on to the second tower, which is actually pretty short. This is just going to be for the cooldown. Make sure your delay and ticks is at 20, always active, repeating, and unconditional. Then basically, it's just going to execute at the player using the disaster flames, only if the player's score is 1 or above. And then it's going to remove 1 from Disaster Flames, creating that cooldown where it counts down from 10. Moving up, these two are going to be separate up here. It's going to be repeating and always active, no delay and ticks. This is basically going to execute unless the person using Disaster Flames score is 0, and then it's going to run a Tidal Rock command for that same person. Again, mine says Blaze Powder. If you use a different item, you're going to have to change that right there. Data 10, location in the main hand, and then this is going to be for the action bar. Raw text, it's going to be for the score, the name of the score, it's going to display the number, and then the objective is set to DF. After that, this is going to be chain, unconditional, and always active. Then this is just going to execute at the player, again using Disaster Flames, unless the player has a score of 1 or above, and then it's going to run a title command. Again, this is only going to run that title command if the player is holding the item in their hand. So what this does is it says ready when the cooldown is over instead of it just saying 0 when you're holding the item. Moving on to the third tower, this is going to be repeating and always active, and then this is going to execute at that same player using the Disaster Flames, again holding the item at S, and then it's going to run an effect for that same player, strength 1 true, so it's for 1 second and the intensity is 1. Next, it's going to be the exact same command except fire resistance this time. Same command except it's going to be for speed instead of fire resistance. By the way guys, the intensity is where it says 4 right here. You can change that to be like 200 or make it be as fast or as slow as you want, but if you want these abilities to be somewhat balanced for when you're like fighting your friends and stuff, I recommend just keeping it at 4 or around 4. Next is going to be another one of these effect commands, except it's going to be jump boost and it's going to be for an intensity of 2. After that, again, it's going to be another effect command, except it's going to be resistance. And then moving on to this next one, this is actually going to be a play sound effect for the ambience that plays when you're holding the item where the fire is in your hands. So it's going to start the exact same as the other commands where it only happens if you're holding the item. And then the play sound is going to be fire.fire, so literally just the sound for fire, at S, and then it's going to be positioned in front of the player because the fire is being held in front of the player. And then it's going to be a volume of 0.5 and the pitch is going to remain at 1. Next, this is going to start the exact same as the other ones, except it's going to run a particle command, and this particle is going to be Minecraft basic flame particle, and then just copy these coordinates. These are positioned kind of where your hand is, so that's why they're kind of weird, but just copy that same command and paste it in here, but you're just going to want to change this one part to be negative instead of positive. Finally, for the fourth tower, it's going to start repeating and always active, and it's going to execute at any entity with the Disaster Flame target tag. It's going to run a particle Minecraft mob flame single, and then it's just going to be located at that entity. Next, this is going to run the exact same command, except it's going to be 1 block up right here on the y-axis. Moving up from here, it's going to be another particle command, except it's going to be Minecraft lava particle. After that, this is going to run a execute command for any entity at S with the DFT tag, and it's going to make it so that if the player using the Disaster Flames has a score below 6, it's going to remove the Disaster Flames target tag from all entities. So that makes it so that they don't just keep the tag and they keep on burning forever. After that, this is just going to run a play sound at any entity with the DFT tag, and then it's going to do mob.player.hurt on fire at S, and then at that position, it's going to be volume 1 and pitch is going to remain at 1. Finally, this last command block right here, which is going to be repeating and always active, then it's just going to run a damage command. It's going to damage any entity with the tag being DFT, and then entity, and it's going to say that the player using Disaster Flames with the score above 4 is going to apply that damage. After all of that, what should happen is you equip this, you should hear the sounds, you should have speed and all these effects. You should also have the particles, and then if you go ahead and summon something, crouch, it should do all of this stuff. Fire should go out, you should see the cooldown working, and then try that again. and everything should be working. Alright guys, thank you so much if you watched this entire video. I hope you enjoy the commands. Make sure to let me know in the comments if you need help with anything, because I don't want you guys doing all this stuff and then it not working, because that would suck. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video and have a grid-tastic rest of your day.